Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game, Anima versus RazerMoon. This game taking place here on Melting Valley 2.0. Anima spawning as, well, the pink human player on the top right hand side of the map, opening things up with that Altar of Kings farm for positioning, a little bit of that Sim City, followed by that barracks. Meanwhile, on the bottom left, we're looking at RazerMoon spawning as the yellow Night Elf, opening things up with what appears to be a tavern hero and Ancient of War. Let's go ahead and get to that 2-minute mark. Let's see when that Ancient of War is going to be placed down, or Altar of Elders will be placed down. And it is going to be a tavern hero getting this game underway. Mountain King as the primary hero coming in from Anima, so we are not going to be looking at any standard human versus Night Elf matchup. Mountain King first, perhaps followed by Blood Mage, going up against, well, what is the hero going to be as the man chases the woman around the bar? Well, it looks as though it is going to be the Dark Ranger. So Dark Ranger with those black arrows. Second archer will get trained up, and that Dark Ranger, well, clearing out these relatively wide creep camps allows for a very, very large number of units. Melting Valley 2 hype, yep. Let's go ahead and get this game underway. Archers are already here, 3 archers ready, and now here in comes that engagement. All right, damage going onto that ice troll first. Skeletal minions will be popping up on out of here in just a moment, and with that, well, they should really be targeting the same unit, trying to get more and more units back out onto the battlefield, going after those ice troll trappers, as the Dark Ranger will be getting silence after this, well, silence after that black arrow. Meanwhile, Mountain King has picked up a Forest Troll Shadow Priest and is now, well, telling a peasant to build a scout farm there in order to buy more units. You can see the number of the skeletal minions already here. Dark Ranger already having a large number of units here, as we're going to see a surround here. Skeletal minion surround on this, beautifully done with this go wide strategy coming in from the Night Elf. Now, oddly enough, the Dark Ranger did not use black arrows to kill that unit there, so no skeletal minion popped up out of the ground. That's the strat for Dark Ranger, maybe peasant harass. Well, Dark Ranger, if you are able to go solo Dark Ranger and get that charm early on, and by getting to level 5 quickly, it is just as powerful as the Alchemist. However, the Dark Ranger, as you guys can see, is a much, much more effective creeper, already sitting at level 2 and can easily clear out level 3 creep camps with all of these Dark minions. Once it gets to level 3, it has access to that level 2 Black Arrow, and well, the power and the strategy just continues on over and over. So more and more units coming across here, as we're looking at the Ice Troll Trapper going to get finished off, and that last Ice Troll Trapper there. Level 3 will be online for that Dark Ranger, but mana management is always the key for that Dark Ranger with that auto attack. Mountain King has a Scroll of the Beast and a replenishment potion, so this could turn into a bit of early harassment, as both sides are not looking, oh, Dark Ranger perhaps going to try to aggro, yes, get those ice trolls, get them down, and then perhaps try and clear out to get some stronger skeletal minions. All right, there's one ice troll already. We're going to see another ice troll here. Forest Troll Shadow Priest. Is it going to be able to make its way back out? Yes, it will. Forest Troll Shadow Priest here trying to join in on the battle, auto-attacking, and then getting some quick and easy kills there, as it's still trying to pick off more and more units. Forest Troll Shadow Priest now coming back the other way, and this is going to be an interesting spot. Stormbolt now onto the Dark Ranger. Dark Ranger could have a bit of trouble. Does have a potion of lesser or invulnerability, so should not be in too big of an issue there, as damage is still starting to rack up. Silence now going down. Stormbolt onto the Dark Ranger, perhaps trying to silence the Mountain King, unable to do so. Potion of lesser invulnerability there, as we're seeing some damage now come back across here. All right, more damage coming in from additional units. Are we going to see another bit of damage going back across there? There goes a bash coming back across, as damage is just, well, falling everywhere, and this is not going to be a good spot for RazerMoon, as he's going to get sniped down with that Dark Ranger, just pretty much waiting for that. The execution of that potion of invulnerability coupled with the silence, not that strong. Now it is up to this Mountain King to clean up those remaining units, as Night Elf falls to 19 supply compared to 31. Crota will the second one be offline today? probably just because just trying to get adjusted to daylight saving time, and the other kids and my kids as well, they need a little bit of extra help getting out of bed in the morning. So I will probably be casting offline. Anima does have his expansion already up and operational here at the 3 o'clock position, so that is going to be a very, very big economic deal. Anima has the larger army, has the better economy, and has the higher level hero right now, nearly level 4. However, going to be going up against dual tavern heroes right now with that Naga Sea Witch. The Naga Sea Witch getting trained up getting trained up and already out here on the board means that there's going to have a 2-to-1 hero advantage, as we are just now seeing that tech to tier 2 by human. Naga Sea Witch making its way too close to react to Stormbolt. Feels like Night Elf is playing as if human will go for Blood Mage. Yeah, perhaps. Blood Mage would be the common factor here, as we're looking at, well, more and more dark minions getting popped up here. Naga Sea Witch having those cold arrows, Dark Ranger having those black arrows. Are we going to have Searing arrows and then perhaps toggle on Orb of Venom later with multiple ranged heroes? That could be a possibility, as well. We all know how powerful, or if you guys haven't seen how powerful Orb of Venom can be when it is stacked, it is a nasty amount of damage, doing north of 250 damage over 10 seconds. I believe that's the number, if all 3 orbs of Venom are applied. Coming back around, we're looking at Dark Ranger, Dryads, more damage coming back through here. What is going to be going down? Footman, low hit point Footman is going to get hit with a cold arrow. Yes, it is, and it's going to end up getting denied. Beautiful deny coming in from Anima here. Stormbolt. Oh, beautiful Staff of Preservation use to deny that bit of mana there. So both sides doing a bit of denial here. Meanwhile, Stormbolt onto a little bit of onto that Forest Troll Berserker. Berserker looks like it will get taken out, as the Mountain King could be running into a little bit of problems. Cold arrows, Dryad, slow poison, as the Mountain King Stormbolts the Naga Sea Witch and gets off the Scroll of Town portal. Beautifully done there. A nice little trade, getting the experience, and now perhaps getting to level 5 on that Mountain King much sooner than expected. Coming back the other way here, Mountain King looking to engage, finding the Dark Ranger off to the side. There's a Stormbolt there. Dark Ranger seems to be okay for now, as the Dryad now gets a Staff of Preservation back home. Mud Golem slow, trying to shut down that Dark Ranger, and Dark Ranger says, you know what, I have no reason to be in this fight. Archer is going to be able to escape. No, it is not. A split second too late. That Mountain King with mana has been able to just constantly take out unit after unit after unit. No Tree of Life coming in from Night Out as of yet. Anima is going to have a very, very large economic advantage and making up that tech advantage now, as he trains up an Archmage second. Not the Blood Mage as originally expected, the Archmage. Meanwhile, Dark Ranger making its way out across the map here and going to clear out this Null Overseer creep camp, going first after these, perhaps these Nulls, and then by going after these lower hit point, the Null Wardens, being able to just add in more and more units again and again. Ancient of War suffering quite a bit of damage. Naga Sea Witch down to, well, it was, I thought he was low on hit points for a second. I'm not quite sure what I was looking at any longer, as the Mountain King now shows up. Mountain King, Stormbolt onto the Dark Ranger. Are we going to look at a rejuvenation on that Dark Ranger? Yes, we are. There's a Roar as well, as the units are going to try and engage. Dark Ranger now sitting at level 4. Both sides fighting their way through. Forest Troll, Shadow Priest gets Fork Lightning taken down, as the Naga Sea Witch picks up a Ring of Regeneration. Both sides fighting so many hit point bars because of so many skeletal minions and footmen, as both sides are fighting their way through. Dark Ranger, no more rejuvenation. Dark Ranger could have a little bit of trouble. Staff of Preservation inbound, as the Naga Sea Witch did transfer that item over. All right, there's a Roar there. Both sides still fighting their way in, as the Naga Sea Witch down to 21 hit points. It gets taken down. Dryads are trying to come across here, getting in some slow movement speed, as the Mountain King trying to, well, get away from all of these melee units. All right, more surrounds in order. All right, there goes another again. Footman could end up getting taken down. The Dark Ranger shows back up to the party. Archmage is right there. Black arrows coming across. Mountain King down to 66 hit points, 67 hit points, as we're looking at more black arrows being flung around. Mountain King, it does have silence. Is he going to be able to snipe down anything here? That is the question, as we are still engaging back and forth. There goes the Stormbolt onto a Druid of the Claw. Druid of the Claw could be in a little bit of trouble. No Staff of Preservation for the save there, but it does mean that perhaps these footmen are going to end up falling, or the Ogre Mauler could fall as well. All right, surround onto that Water Elemental. Dark Ranger looking to get to level 5. Going to get a little bit closer. Meanwhile, that Mountain King playing a dangerous game, down to 49 hit points, able to retreat back. All right, in a game of close calls and close shaves, Dark Ranger going to try and engage. There gets a single attack off. Scroll of Healing, or Potion of Healing, transferred right there. There's a rejuvenation as well. So both sides using every single bit of hit points that they can out of their units, as an Ogre Mauler going to end up getting surrounded. Mountain King shows back up onto the fight. However, that rejuvenation and, well, restoring the hit points of that Dark Ranger even after that Stormbolt. Dryads coming back across here. Black arrows, slow poison, trying to go after different targets. Sorceress going to get taken down. There's another black minion there, or dark minion there, as the Mountain King now trying to retreat back off to the north. 51 supply compared to 49. This has been a crazy matchup, as the Dark Ranger is amongst all of these units here, and the Arcane Tower is not focusing onto that Dark Ranger. Mountain King now going to be coming back around. There's a big roar, as black arrows are still creating out more and more of these skeletal minions. There goes a Stormbolt onto the Dark Ranger. Dark Ranger, however, fairly well protected in the backside position here, finally getting arcane targeted feedback. But there is just so many bears here that rejuvenation is just seemingly endless for that Dark Ranger. Both sides fighting their way through. No real AoE. Naga Sea Witch needs to make its way over, perhaps get in some big damage, as this is so far a one-way in a fight here. The Dark Ranger needs the Naga Sea Witch to help with the Scroll of Town Portal in order to get out of this spot. But the Naga Sea Witch is, well, nowhere to be seen. Dark Ranger sitting at level 5 here. Naga Sea Witch shows up but doesn't bring a Scroll of Town Portal, trying to help as the Mountain King ends up getting taken down. This is a big battle, as both sides going to end up losing large amounts of units, as we see more roar coming back across here, more damage adding in. Perhaps the Mortar team, one Mortar team just lobbing in those attacks, causing problems as the Naga Sea Witch sits at level 3. All right, we are looking at a Ring of Regeneration on the Naga Sea Witch here. Bears trying to make their way back out. More and more peasants are still falling. Dryads going to get taken down. In comes the Scroll of Town Portal. Mountain King perhaps trying to bring in some more units, and it is a Mountain King and also that Sorceress, but the Archmage ends up getting taken down, even though next to that Arcane Vault. Dark Ranger continuing the fight here. Both sides using every single bit of hit points they can. Priest constantly healing up units. Beautiful Staff of Preservation use again. Are we seeing the Dark Ranger, Naga Sea Witch traps, transferring that Ring of Regeneration? No, we do not. 50 over 50 supply compared to 52 over 66. Both sides suffering heavy losses and, well, running up on 2 bases. Archmage fell at level 1, will resurrect extremely quickly. Meanwhile, Druids of the Claw heading back home, gonna get some rejuvenation on their own kind, and then perhaps be able to bounce back quickly. All right, but not quite sure why we don't see a rejuvenation from one Druid of the Claw to another, perhaps trying to manage everything here. More Druids of the Claw heading back home. That fight was a bit dicey, as now RazerMoon looking to set up his expansion. Archmage will get to level 2 here, get some Brilliance Aura, meaning more mana for that Mountain King and those priests. Coming back around, Druids of the Claw are all ready to rebound as well. And remember, because of the way taxation works and upkeep works in WarCraft 3, even though it is 2 bases to 1, it hasn't really been that big of an economic advantage. 14 gold a second compared to 10 because of upkeep. Now RazerMoon finally going into low upkeep. There goes a bit of damage here. Ogre Lord getting caught out here. Sorceress trying to get away. It's going to get cleaned up as well, as both sides are fighting their way through. Ogre Lord not quite sure where to go in this situation. I'm trying to engage against these greater dark minions, as the Mountain King is out on the battlefield. They're just trying to get away. There's a little bit of damage. Stormbolt going down onto the Pit Lord, as the units are now trying to retreat back. Ancient of War even joining in on the fight here, getting in some free attacks, as this Tree of Life down to the south is not yet completed. All right, here's the question. Does does Anima try and stop this Tree of Life before heading back off to the north? He doesn't. And with this, well, we're going to see a couple of Spellbreakers get cleaned up here. Those Druids of the Claw, well, outlasting just because of sheer numbers than the opponent. 66 supply compared to 60. Army sizes very comparable as well. Still no expansion coming in from no operating expansion coming in from RazerMoon just quite yet. All right, Druid of the Claw is going straight after that Arcane Vault, wanting to remove that home field advantage. Meanwhile, Rain of Fire could be cast down across all of that Town Hall there, as we're looking at some more Dispel magic coming across here. All right, Scroll of the, or not Scroll of the Beast, Roar has now been taken over by those Spellbreakers, as we are looking at Rain of Fire to try and cause some of these units to move around a bit more. Stormbolt onto the Naga Sea Witch, 1-2 sniping down that Naga Sea Witch in no time flat, as both sides start fighting their way through. All right, there's Rain of Fire across that back line again, taking quite a bit of damage. Stormbolt onto a Druid of the Claw instead of stopping that Pit Lord, as damage is starting to rack up across those back line units. More skeletal minions still joining in on the battle. No Staff of one Staff of Preservation on that Dark Ranger if he wants to save any low hit point units, as we're seeing quite a number of low hit point Spellbreakers. Those Spellbreakers could end up getting taken down and causing more Dark minions coming back out onto the battlefield. Remember, those Dark minions actually deal significant damage, 16 to 19 damage against those units, as we now see Charm online for the Dark Ranger. All right, Charm online for the Dark Ranger, going up against the Mountain King with now that Avatar ability. If he tries to choose it, Dark Ranger now looking to retreat back, needs to be constantly have mana as the Dark Ranger tries to retreat back here. Mountain King does have a potion of mana, could have Stormbolted the Dark Ranger here to ensure the kill. There, he picks it up, and there's a quick detonation. That Dark Ranger knows exactly what hit her and will get taken down. All right. Forecasted there, Anima now sitting on 56 supply and now trying to break back into low upkeep. All right, Spellbreakers now trying to retreat back. Plenty of greater Dark minions simply just walking around. And in this situation, do you resurrect the Dark Ranger at the tavern? If doing so, you can start charming more units again and again. That does make a lot of sense, but it will take a little bit of time, as the Naga Sea Witch is first in line for that resurrection. Coming back around, somehow RazerMoon has been able to hold on to this expansion on the bottom right here. Not quite sure why Anima is not pushing forward in that location, as the Pit Lord is trying to recover here in the bottom left-hand side of the map. 63 supply compared to 50 over 80. Naga Sea Witch still getting resurrected, trying to heal back up, get into a little bit of a reserve before breaking into low upkeep again. All right, Staff of Preservation on that Spellbreaker. So that Spellbreaker was charmed and perhaps wasn't in the correct control group and didn't make its way out and make its way back from home. All right, we're still looking at the Naga Sea Witch getting resurrected here. More units getting trained up, more Druids of the Claw and Fairy Dragons. So 2 Druids of the Claw, 1 Fairy Dragon, and perhaps resurrecting this Dark Ranger now, as the Dark Ranger does have Charm, and we know how well that fight can go. Can Spellbreaker get rejuvenated? Yes. Heals work on magic immune units. So just like Dryads can get, I believe Dryads can get rejuvenated. Yeah, Spellbreakers can get rejuvenated as well. Because we know that Spellbreakers can get Holy Light and can get heals by priests. So following that logic right there. All right. Phase shifting there. Boulder tosses coming back around. Druid of the Claw now coming back across here. A little bit of magic or piercing damage onto that Fairy Dragon. Even though they look like boulder tosses, they're not yet. Fairy Dragons immune to magic, but still able to get rejuvenated by the Druids of the Claw here. Meanwhile, Pit Lord sitting at level 2. We're going to be looking at these rock golems getting taken down here. Dark Ranger was resurrected. Where is it? Resurrected? No, not there. It says it's resurrected out here on the battlefield somewhere. Am I going blind? I may be going blind. All right, off over here. All right, Dark Ranger, Clarity Potion. Needs lots of mana. May not be using black arrows very much anymore. Should also probably use a Moonstone here. No, we're actually finally in Nightfall, so these Moon Wells will fill up quickly. All right. We are looking at the Tree of Life, 76 over 80 supply compared to 76 over 78. Mountain King Mortar Team is going to make short work out of this Tree of Life here, just taking this building down in no time flat. Meanwhile, the main gold mine is going to be running out of gold here in just a moment. Big thunderclap there, taking out the rest of the wisps as well. As well, is the Dark Ranger's ultimate ability going to be enough to, well, turn the tide here? All right, here we are. Here we go. Should open things up with a charm already. No, not quite sure why we didn't see that. Well, trying to grab some of those and spell breakers and just turn the tide would have been a big deal. All right, Dark Ranger did use that possession. Now both sides still fighting their way through. The Spellbreakers continuing the battle here as we see Druids the Claw suffering massive amounts of damage from those mortar teams in the back. Fairy Dragons also going to be mana flaring and dealing quite a bit of damage to all of these units as well. There's that Spellbreaker as the Dark Ranger could try and possess another unit here in just a moment. More damage still backing around mortar teams going after those Dryads. So both sides suffering heavy losses. Staff of Preservation for the save here as the Druid of the Clock could come back with a rejuvenation on this Pit Lord. Dark Ranger needs to retreat back down to 4 seconds left on that cooldown, and should be able to use it once more. Where is that Dark Ranger? Dark Ranger teleports off to the north as the Tree of Eternity going to reposition here and try and entangle this 3 o'clock gold or 9 o'clock gold mine. All right. Crazy battle back and forth so far. Anka Reincarnation, there's some rejuvenation. RazerMoon having a very small army at this point and stage in the game, needs to re-get the economy going. Meanwhile, Human still has about 5 minutes of mining left. After this 5 minutes, Anima is going to find himself in a little bit of a tough spot as he's going to be forced to set up a new base somewhere. And while trying to set up a new base this late in the game, it takes a little bit of a coordinated effort. All right, Mountain King now making its way across here. Mortar teams are there. And here we are. There's a, transformation. This Druid of the Cloud needs to transform as well. Nope. Takes a big Stormbolt while in Druid form as we are looking at a Sorceress now getting, getting controlled or possession there. Mountain King still fighting their way through. Damage still racking up. No orbs of venom that I see at all. Dark Ranger trying to retreat back. There's some big damage. And there is a Scroll of Town Portal to desperately retreat as all of those units will retreat away. The Sorceress down to 200 mana. Was Adept training never picked up? Nope, no Adept training. So the Sorceress is still at that initiate level, not having access to invisibility. Dark Ranger heading back home, gonna go ahead and drop those intelligence-based items to get a little bit more mana and then make its way back out. The Dark Ranger really just wants to engage a fight every 40 and then back out of a fight every 45 seconds, perhaps win the battle slowly that way. However, he still or she still needs to be able to pull that unit away. Otherwise, it's just feeding experience to the human army. And once the Archmage gets to level 6, the high mobility may become too much. Are we going to look at a possession here? We still haven't seen the possession. Need to be on top of your ultimate abilities. There you are. Going to go ahead and use that possession there. Mountain King, Staff of Preservation. Mountain King goes into that avatar mode, down to 500 hit points already. There's that Staff of Preservation. Stormbolt being thrown around as the Pit Lord, down to 647 hit points. Easily surrounded. There's that Staff of Preservation pulling back across here. Stormbolt gonna, miss the target as all three heroes have Staff of Preservations and just rotating that Staff of Preservation on each of the heroes to get out of dicey situations. Mountain King down to 500 hit points, and half of the avatar state is about over. All right, we're going to be looking perhaps at some rejuvenations, dropping those items again, picking them back up and now ready to move on once more. This Tree of Eternity taking quite a beating here. Mortar teams are right there, and we are seeing a Naga Sea Witch perhaps going to be in a little bit of trouble. Staff of Preservation will not necessarily help, as the Priest is off over there as well. Dark Ranger, are we going to see some damage there? There is a little bit of damage. A Mountain King trying to get healed back up. Dryads are showing up to the party here. This could be a very big deal, as the Priest is also here getting in a little bit of heals. Mountain King falls at level 7, and that is going to greatly change things around, as we're still looking at damage still racking up here. Staff of Preservation for the save teleports back near those Moonwells, as we no longer have a Tree of Life. Archmage falls at level 5, and that was a big deal. All 3 Night Elf heroes are still alive. Naga Sea Witch coming back out onto the battlefield here. Dark Ranger waiting for a couple of seconds, perhaps try and do another charm. And I do not think Anima is going to be able to do very much after this spot here. More damage getting racked up. Are we going to see another possession? We should be looking at another possession here, just trying to finish off units and give chase right now, as the Priest back in this position here, really healing up some more units, while many of the bears have now been taken down. We are still looking at an economy over here on the bottom right hand side, as this base is nearly mined out. Dark Ranger is going to try and possess a target here. Yes, grabs the Spellbreaker. Mountain King is out here onto the battlefield. There's a Fork Lightning only hitting one target, as everything else next to a beautiful Staff of Preservation again. That Staff of Preservation cooldown really causing problems, as the units are still looking to retreat back further and further. Mountain King gets a potion of healing off in time, as the units are fighting here. All right, Pit Lord wants to get perhaps a more rain of fire across all of those units. Mountain King back out onto the battlefield, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do much besides stop this incoming battle here. But this base only has 22 seconds of mining left. Dark Ranger going to be coming back around, needs 10 more seconds to charm up another unit again, as the Mountain King currently low on mana, as the Pit Lord still backing away here. Can the Pit Lord perhaps find a little bit of damage, perhaps cause a little bit more rain of fire, as we see Fork Lightning go down here, as more damage is still racking up, trying to find that Mountain King. All right, more damage still coming across there. There's that rain of fire raining down across multiple units, and well, with that, it looks as though it looks like RazerMoon is going to be able to continue to put in that pressure here. Dryads trying to make their way all the way into the back here. Mortar teams could try and splash down those 2 Dryads, less than 10 hit points between them. There goes one. Another one's going to get taken down here in just a moment, as both sides are fighting their way through. Avatar state once more for the Mountain King, hiding in the back position, as the Dark Ranger, currently out of mana, cannot charm any more targets. Dark Ranger now joined alongside with the level 5 Naga Sea Witch and level 5 Pit Lord. Both sides still fighting their way through, as we're looking at the Dryads now trying to back away. Mountain King going after the Priest, does find the target here, as the Mountain King unable to catch up to that Dryad because of that slow poison there. Staff of Preservation saving once more. Archmage now back out onto the battlefield, as the Avatar able to escape away at 89 hit points. Skeletal Minion trying to, perhaps disrupt a little bit of that mana. Dark Ranger could get a shot off, at least stop the Clarity Potion in action, as the Archmage shows up to the party. All right, Dark Ranger back up to 98 mana here. Could perhaps get a little bit more Potion of Invulnerability. He's going to be able to stay alive a little while longer. Perhaps a Stormbolt going to be inbound. There's a Stormbolt inbound. Staff of Preservation for the save, as the Mountain King now being forced to back away. Needs to see a little bit more heals, but no Priest anywhere to be found. 28 supply compared to 36. Ultimate abilities galore. Dark Ranger doesn't have that much mana. Perhaps needs another 18 mana, and then we'll be able to charm one of those Spellbreakers again. Meanwhile, Pit Lord trying to close in on that distance. Dark Ranger showing up to the party. Is he going to try to go after any of these targets here, trying to get some damage there? Dark Ranger, what did it do? Did it went for a silence instead of getting a Spellbreaker here, trying to win this game outright instead of slowly taking an advantage by taking a Spellbreaker after Spellbreaker. Units are retreating back now. Dark Ranger still needs a little bit more mana. Naga Sea Witch is out here on the battlefield somewhere, trying to, slip around the backside once more, but that's going to be a big problem, as it doesn't have Boots of Speed. Meanwhile, bottom right-hand side still mining clearly by human. Meanwhile, we still do not see any mining coming in from RazerMoon. The only resource that RazerMoon has access to is this Moonwell juice, and it's working out fairly well so far, all things considered. However, if Anima gets too much of an economic advantage, no matter, even with all of these Moonwells constantly healing all 3 heroes, it's just not going to be enough. All right, Nagasiwa shows up to the party here. We're going to see a little bit of cold arrows trying to add some damage. There's a Fork Lightning, Staff of Preservation for the save. Dark Ranger now shows back up on the other side. Pitlord trying to chase after those targets. There's a Rain of Fire raining down across other targets here. Are we going to see? Yes, there is a Charm right there. Spellbreaker trying to retreat back away, trying to go after all of these additional targets. Mountain King going after the Dark Ranger. Dark Ranger has a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. Mountain King may not have been counting on that, as the Mountain King now down to 39 hit points. One or two more shots should do it. Mountain King ends up falling. And now, without the Mountain King and no threat of Stormbolt sniping, well, that Archmage needs to retreat back desperately. All right, looks like the Archmage is going to get taken down, and the Pit Lord and the Naga Sea Witch are still comfortably at level 5. By sheer number of heroes, the level 7 Dark Ranger, even though it got to Charm, it wasn't really the charm. It wasn't really the charm that had boosted it over the edge. It was the synergy between Staff of Preservation across all 3 heroes, constantly saving each other from dire straits and dire circumstances. Anytime the Mountain King used 75 mana for a Stormbolt, it ended and tried to take it down. The Staff of Preservation just simply saved it, and well, the cycle had to be repeated over and over. Yes, the charm did definitely help, taking some priests and some spellbreakers, but in the end, well, I really think it was the heroes and that micro work being able to, well, salvage those units. Let me know what you guys think about this game in the comments below. Yeah, I knew there would be some reactions about worst noob ever, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about this game in the comments below. Thanks for watching.